And I got to boast about Landers University. It is so many of you that I'm looking at, I've had throughout the years. And when I first started teaching at Landers, I thought, how are they going to accept a Catholic nun? And they did. They did. It's been a wonderful alliance that we have had, and I'm delighted to be here. Let me tell you about the birth of this Sizzle or Fizzle. I'm known in my town as a speaker. And so when somebody backs out in some case, they call me and they say, they don't tell me somebody backed out, but I'm pretty sure with this one they did. Will you ever speak at the Chamber of Commerce breakfast? We'll even give you the title. It's called Sizzle or Fizzle. And I said, what does that mean? I mean, I don't know what to do with Sizzle or Fizzle. Oh, you'll think of something. Well, I got into it, and I really enjoyed it, and I gave the talk for the chamber. And then I thought, when they wanted me to speak in Chicago, I'll take that Sizzle or Fizzle and revamp it, not for businesses, but for schools. And so that's what I did. Because of my work in teacher education since, gosh, I started at our university in 72 or 3, but started in Montessori in 75, teaching teachers, and I would supervise in classrooms. And the last couple of years, because I get 30 or 40 students a year in my program, and that means a lot of visits to student teachers. And so I have gone to schools that sizzle. And I've gone to schools that I've watched fizzle. And so that's what I'd like to talk to you. I tried to figure out, what do the successful schools have in common? Well, I think some of the successful schools that I know have a strong leadership. If they have a strong leadership, if they have a board of education that is strong and not micromanaging the school, if they have well-educated teachers, the teachers that I know from here, many of them are certified teachers, and they're also certified Montessori teachers. And so they're well-educated. Many of them have supportive parents. We had a talk here last night, and there were a lot of parents, and with lots of questions afterwards. Most of them said, I didn't want to ask the questions in front of the group, but they asked me later. But they're supportive parents. They're ready, they know that you know what you're doing. And the presence in the school of a community or family atmosphere, that's really important. I'm a consultant for some inner city schools in, they're called Martin Luther King Montessori School in Indiana. And they have such a community that when I go there to speak, or when I go there to give workshops, it's not just the teachers, it's not just the assistants, but it is the bus drivers, it is the secretaries, it is the women who work in the kitchen. It's all. They have that kind of a community. And they're sizzling. Let me tell you, they're having a hard time paying their bills. They were recently given a brand new building by a corporation that built this building for childcare, but then moved to Chicago, and they gave them the building. And I was rejoicing with these women, and they said, yeah, but now we have to pay the heat and the lighting and the air conditioning. We didn't have that before when they were in these poor little hovels where the church picked up that. All right, let me read a wonderful story called A Valuable Lesson. And because you're going to see some sizzle, or fizzle rather, in this, hopefully you'll get my point. And this is a true story. It was written and related by Malcolm Forbes. A lady in a faded gingham dress and her husband dressed in a homespun threadbare suit stepped off the train in Boston and walked timidly without an appointment into Harvard University president's outer office. The secretary could tell in a moment that such backwards country hicks had no business at Harvard and probably didn't even deserve to be in Cambridge. She frowned. "We want to see the president," the man said softly. "He'll be busy all day," the secretary snapped. "We'll wait," the lady replied. For hours, the secretary ignored them, hoping that the couple would finally become discouraged and go away. They didn't, and the secretary grew frustrated and finally decided to disturb the president, even though it was a chore she always regretted. "Maybe if they just see you for a few minutes, they'll leave," she told him. He sighed in exasperation and nodded. Someone of his importance obviously didn't have the time to spend with them, but he detested gingham dresses and homespun suits cluttering up his outer office. The president, stern-faced with dignity, strutted toward the couple. The lady told him, "We had a son who attended Harvard for 1 year. He loved Harvard. He was happy here. But about a year ago, he was accidentally killed. And my husband and I would like to erect a memorial for him somewhere on campus." The president wasn't touched. He was shocked. "Madam," he said gruffly, "we can't put up a statue for every person who attended Harvard and died. If we did, this place would look like a cemetery." "Oh, no," the lady explained quickly. "We don't want to erect a statue. We thought we would like to give a building to Harvard." The president rolled his eyes. He glanced at the gingham dress and the homespun suit. Then he exclaimed, "A building? Do you have any earthly idea how much a building costs? We have over $7.5 million in the physical plant at Harvard." For a moment, the lady was silent. The president was pleased. He could get rid of them now. And the lady turned to her husband and said quietly, "Is that all it costs to start a university? Why don't we just start our own?" Her husband nodded. The president's face wilted in confusion and bewilderment, and Mr. and Mrs. Leland Stanford walked away, traveling to Palo Alto, California, where they established the university that bears the name and a memorial to their son. You can easily judge the character of others by how they treat those who can do nothing for them or to them. Think about it. Think about the sizzle and the fizzle in that story. Attitude is crucial. I saw today, we were somewhere getting a sandwich between things, and there was a sign on the back of this man's t-shirt about attitude. Not only in schools does attitude matter, but in life. We need to learn to laugh at ourselves and laugh with each other. I believe that attitude is more important than being correct. Many years ago, I was a very young sister, and I attended a seminar where we were given the following example. This psychologist was saying that he was trying to let us know about attitude. And he said, this nurse, let's call her Anne. Anne was walking down the hall in the hospital, and she was very happy, and she meets Dr. Bill. And Anne says, "Good morning, Dr. Bill." And he goes, She walked by and thought, what did I do wrong? Did I offend him? Did I, am I not dressed right? And the whole day was ruined for her. Then he said, let's take Nurse Jane. Nurse Jane is very happy, and she goes into the hospital, and she passes Dr. Bill. "Good morning, Dr. Bill." And he goes, And she said, "Wonder what's wrong with him? He's got a problem." Do you see the difference in the attitude? If I think everything is my fault, it'll become my fault. Charles Swindoll wrote this. He said, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life." Attitude, to me, is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company or a school, or, I guess, a family, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is, we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change